Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's talk about personal responsibility. You have to take personal responsibility for your life and for your actions, for everything that's ever happened to you, for all the experiences that you had a hand in, but even for your responses to the experiences that you may have felt like you were victimized by. You want to own up to everything. It's your life. This is your game. You're the one. You're the player in this game, and you want to own up to everything that's happened up until now. Personal responsibility will set you free from the pain and the sorrow, the emotional attachments that you have to past traumas. That emotional attachment that we have to past traumas is what holds many of us back from being successful in the future. It may hold you back from having relationships. It may hold you back from having jobs. It may hold you back from just having peace of mind. The scars from your past may define you, and you don't want that to happen anymore. You can be set free from that, and the way to do that is through personal responsibility. You have to be able to really be humble and take a good look at yourself. Own up. You don't have to tell other people. It may not make you feel too good to own up to being a shitty person, making stupid mistakes, doing things that hurt people. Own up to it all. And that way you'll be able to move past the guilt, past the pain, past the shame. On each one of these experiences, forgive yourself in a loving way for your involvement, for your mistakes, for all of it. Forgive who harmed you. Let God judge them. You don't have to play God. That's too much responsibility. It's not your role. And you don't get any help from God if you are stuck trying to play God. He'll just sit back and be like, oh, I guess you got this then. But how do we take personal responsibility for our lives? So I wrote down a few things. I got a list. Everybody on YouTube likes these lists. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 things. If we have time, we'll go more. But the first way that you take personal responsibility for your life is to stop blaming others for your position, for where you are in the game. You're where you are because of you, not because of them, not because of other players, because of you. You've navigated your way so far. You may not be very good at it, but that's all on you. Stop blaming other people when you may have had a role in that scenario also. I used to blame my ex for the breakup that we had with his fiance, and she broke up with me right before our wedding. And I was always pointing the finger at her, as if I was perfect. And it took me a long time to finally humble up and realize that I wasn't so perfect in that relationship. And maybe I didn't deserve the treatment that I got. Maybe it was abuse, but I stayed with it. I wasn't handcuffed in a hole like she was feeding me, like she had captured me somehow. I wasn't tied to a tree in the woods. I could have left. I didn't recognize the signs and signals. Is that her fault for being a master manipulator, or is it my fault for being so blind with this idealistic or whatever idol worship of love? Right? We can just look at ourselves in this way and be humble and trying to acknowledge where we had responsibility in that action. And it makes the scenario less painful. I realized that she wasn't as much of a manipulator as I thought she was, because I had a role in it also. It takes two to tango. I had a role in the relationship, in the crumbling of the relationship. So, not that I'm trying to get back with her or make her any less of a bad person. But you want to stop blaming people for outcomes and start acknowledging your involvement. This is what personal responsibility is all about. You realize at that point where you could have done a better job, and that's how you grow. That's how you capture the lesson, but you allow the lesion to heal. You allow the cut, the wound, that open wound, that pain, you allow that to heal. And you walk away just with the lesson. But you have to humble up and do that, and you have to stop blaming others for everything that's ever happened to you. Stop blaming the system, blaming, authority, blaming the cops, blaming the judge that didn't rule your way. Just take responsibility. You'll move on with your life. Now, let's go to the next one. I'm going to stop complaining. These are ways to take personal responsibility for our lives. So you want to stop complaining. Stop complaining about the past. Stop complaining about what happened to you. Stop complaining about your ex, your boss, the motherfucker who robbed you, whoever. Stop complaining about that shit. I'll listen to complaining for 30 seconds. I have my little time limit. As soon as people start complaining, it's like I turn on that fucking timer and it's just tick, 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 tick. As soon as that fucking buzzer goes off in my head where it's enough, what I'm going to ask you is, what are you going to do about it? And people don't like that question because that's a question that demands personal empowerment. I have to make a choice and to take action. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to sit here and complain like a little bitch until I fall down out of air and maybe I'll cry myself to sleep. What's your plan, Sam? The fuck you going to do? So you have to stop complaining about a problem in order to be able to diagnose the problem. You have to get yourself into that open mind state where you're willing to take on new information. If you're sitting there ranting and your mind is just looking for the next reason why you're angry, why you're afraid, why you're outraged, whatever, then you're not in a place where you can take in new information. Got to calm your dumb ass down. Go take a walk around the fucking block. And when you come back, talk about this shit rationally and figure out what the fuck you're going to do about shit. Stop complaining. Taking personal responsibility is about recognizing problems, finding solutions, and moving forward. It's not about sitting there being like, well, that's so fucked up. That doesn't do anything for us. That's wasted energy. The next one is, don't take things so personal. We hold a lot of emotional attachment to traumas of our past because we take shit really personally. That chick really hurt my feelings. I really didn't like it. And there's this sense that she's not really sorry enough, that she hurt my feelings on purpose. I realized, talking with a friend of mine, his wife was high school friends with his fiance that I broke up with. I didn't handle the relationship very well. And I was talking with her, it was long after the relationship, but I still know a lot of people from that era. And I didn't know that her and my fiance had gone to high school together. But I knew that they were friends. I just didn't know they went that far back. And she told me, oh yeah, when we were kids, Noelle used to be this way and be that way. And it really opened my eyes and I realized, wow, there were aspects to her that I guess I didn't really know. She was a lot more hurt of a person than I had realized. And I had kind of put her on a pedestal and made her more powerful than she was. And then when she betrayed me, it just felt like such a stab in the heart, such an incredible betrayal, but I didn't realize that she was so incredibly weak. And it's not like that I'm giving her a pass for that behavior, because betrayal is never acceptable, but it wasn't personal. This was her own failure. It was her own torment. She had no capacity to be loyal. It wasn't me. It was anybody. She couldn't be loyal to anybody. So that's not personal. That takes some of the ouch out of the wound. Takes some of the pain away. Realize, sure, it was a fucked up thing to happen. It didn't go my way. I can acknowledge what it was, truthfully. Never lie to yourself. You can lie to others, but don't lie to yourself. And you can just realize that this wasn't a personal thing with me. This was them. They were going through that. You can look at this with any scenario. You got robbed. I could talk you with the same thing of why it was the robbers' own torment. They didn't do it to hurt you. They did it to help themselves. And it doesn't make it any better. It just makes it so it's not such a personal attack. And you can get over this a little bit easier. You can take the lesson away and let the lesion heal. You can take personal responsibility for your life and for your side of everything that's ever happened that you've been involved with. Anything that's ever happened to you. You have a side to it. And how you move forward from events, it may be something you need to take personal responsibility with also. So you want to own up to your involvement. And that's the last one. Just acknowledge that I had a hand in this. I caused this. I contributed to this. The pain that I felt afterwards for all this time is pain that I chose to hold on to, pain that I chose to blow out of proportion. We could take any scenario and run different directions. You can have a really traumatic scenario and you can choose to be traumatized by it for the rest of your life and it can ruin your life. Or you can take that trauma and turn it into growth. This is what post-traumatic growth is all about. And then you can become somebody else's hero. You can take that horrible bad experience that you went through and become powerful with it. Now, two people can go two different opposite directions and have the same exact thing have happened to them. How does that work? That's personal responsibility. That's owning up to your involvement. I'm not going to go, I got a bunch more and this is already getting long, so I hope that people get some value out of this. Thanks for watching.